The Diary of a Certified Psychopath. Off the crank. And then, about 3 showers past an hour that wishes to remain anonymous, despite intense pressure from manufacturers of all classic and contemporary timekeeping devices, ranging from grandfather's repaired doomsday clock to that tease-made your aunt won at a local charity raffle, the 2000 nit OLED-powered home screens of 100 squillion smartphones, or that Timex Indiglow you so desired after seeing its luminous turquoise face attracting cartoon fireflies in TV commercials between episodes of Strike It Rich and Gladiators. Where was I? A spontaneously concocted spinning forecast for Shell Springs near Saltings, interpreted for you by Shoreham Peninsula's earliest rising cloud worshippers, with periodic observations from long-haul truckers approaching the end of gruelling night shifts, some unburdening colossal consignments of the referenced petrol station's refined brand of largely lead-free libations, before rehydrating their parched rigs with several hundred gallons and speeding off with lightened loads before the first wave of midweek commuters fetch up in their own motorised chariots with dry tanks and drained batteries to bang bumpers and bend fenders over leaky fuel pumps and fast charging points. Sustainable energy falling slowly. Harbour Way Eastern Extreme, rounding curve to Burrell's Rotary. Nature's invisible resistance severe, homogenizing headstrong assaults from the ever wilder west, with screaming Lord South's crippling crosswinds. Together a barbaric elemental alliance, and whipping up enough bluster to bully St. Beaufort's pole-bound weather vanes into flappy surrender, rock the supple trunks of trophy palm trees to their sturdy roots, and ruffle giant yucca plants until their spiny leaves resembled Struble Peter's hair. Drag-deficient cyclists advised to pedal in stem-chinning stoops until near gale force upper gusts subside. Lateral stability moderate or poor. Town High Street bearing west, at velocity on a par with Labrador chasing detached hubcap. Standing water from heavy rainfall forming roadside reservoirs around still-blocked storm drains. Chances of sock and trouser soaking by careless or cruel motorists exceptionally high. Detour via quieter canals, where feasible. Spirits dampened, becoming drenched. Shoreham's Elder Upper Freeway, soft pedalling east after structured sequence of overs and evens, with riding position and interval durations respectively determined by bus stops and their intervening distance. Missed potential tow behind dawdling single-decker, turning down Hammy Lane. Speed boost with favourable negative gradient would have been roughly 3 km per hour when applying the same guesstimated power, though ride's average remained unaffected. Ferry footbridge, final furlongs, and following trademark traverse back to seafront. Acclimatised computations at positive odds with mortal sensations by at least 5 degrees. Primaloft padding recommended for next forecast, despite significant aerodynamic penalty. Even with weary legs, the heaviest heart, and a head that would rather be settled on fair trade memory foam, one should never overlook the luxury of being able to clamber aboard their battle-scarred turbo-trainer, configure their comfort cave's customizable microclimate to simulate a clement Caribbean sunset, subject to cosmic winter energy bills, and casually spin out an otherwise idle hour in the remote but therapeutic company of like-minded crank artists. In this case, dear Bernie's light-footed leisure-seekers were merrily rubbing shoulders, swapping slipstreams, and trading ride-ons, whilst cruising around Watopia's invariably sun-soaked coast, where manta rays chase mini-subs through the coral-rich waters of vast tubular aquariums, and giant Jarvis trees await for festive conifers to flourish from their surrounding soil. FutureWorks' second most chillaxed RoboPacer's dynamic power profile of 1.2, 1.5 and 1.8 watts per kilogram, incrementally applied during descents, flats and climbs, should be manageable for any moderately fit athlete aiming to trundle through a generous hour in Zone 2 or 3, and leave sufficient aerobic headroom for those compulsive texters to flex their fast-twitch fingertips, perhaps after reeling off a quick midweek crit around one of several brand new street circuits within Zwift's ever-expanding and uniquely vibrant virtualization of Manhattan. This pace is also ideal for more competitive role players to warm up or cool down, both before and after one of the game's division-based league races, which form part of its long-running annual tournaments, as well as countless seasonal tour rides, that typically take place within its two major worlds, and can incorporate multiple routes. My restful avatar was content to let his resigned puppeteer sign off after just 100 scrupulously unstructured and wholly recuperative minutes, with a Garmin guesstimated pulse that fell just a fraction shy of my GPU's frame rate, but elicited strain-gauged bang to match the beats. The closing 10 kilometres of this rueful return to the fun-focused fitness industry's most radically realised construct for active gamers proved a solitary experience, when, after 5 spirited and good-humoured laps, my sporting fellow pedlars vanished into cyclical cyberspace's proverbial 5th dimension. Immediately suspecting a temporary dropout or sync error with my connection to one of Zwift's overloaded servers, I waited patiently for parity to be restored, but to no avail. After resetting my faithful work/PlayStation's Wi-Fi adapter multiple times, and still being unable to access any web pages, I then logically theorised it must be a service outage, limited to BT's high-priority business customers, and, having poor cellular reception, rushed upstairs to check if their 3-month-old hub could provide any enlightening clues. In fairness to our country's long privatised telecommunications operator, my full-fibre slip road to the information superhighway was neither closed for maintenance nor overly contested by other users who'd been allocated a portion of the same shared bandwidth. Unlike Virgin Media's bundled broadband hub, which is a hybrid unit featuring both a 4-port router and integrated modem, BT's counterpart functions solely as a router, whilst the modem is a small white box typically mounted on a nearby wall, and remains intact even when residents vacate the premises, allowing new occupants to immediately link it up to any compatible router. BT's supplied product features a single ring-shaped activity LED on its Spartan front fascia, which changes states and colours to indicate both faults and modes of operation, allowing users to more easily troubleshoot problems and diagnose their specific causes. Reluctantly, I rebooted the router and watched this telltale circle light up a steady green, blink white for a split second, then begin to flash orange in regular intervals, indicating that it was attempting to synchronize with the local exchange, and determine whether BT's advertised speeds could be delivered, before finally adopting a solid royal purple shade to show that a wide area network connection had been established. Alleluia, sighed my mind, enveloped by a cloud of redemptive dopamine. No restoring this arcane device to its factory defaults, and then, yet again having to log into its finicky browser-based control panel to rummage through pages of intricate settings and configuration options in order to forward ports, alter passwords, set up static IP addresses outside its default DHCP range, or reserve others within it for for specific computers so that it doesn't, for instance, assign my ancient web server's explicitly requested local address to another device, thereby leaving it wholly unable to respond to remote page calls, from what few users may still be accessing the website. Changing Wi-Fi channels on either the 2.4 or 5 GHz bands was unnecessary, since neighbouring private or public access points that might cause interference appeared scarce, and besides, BT's router is supposed to automatically negotiate the least populated channel during all net activity, thereby guaranteeing the fastest possible transfer rates. In this instance, I could also rule out performance degradation or connection instabilities due to the higher frequency's shorter wavelength causing signal strength or quality to weaken more acutely when travelling through walls or ceilings, since my PC has a clear line of sight to the router's invisible aerial. Before heading back to Command Central, I inspected my 2 retro rigs, which are reserved for making digital transfers from my father's cherished vinyl collection, and playing adventure games from bygone golden eras, when an internet connection wasn't required to install and register them, download 2 gigs of essential updates and security patches every week, or resume from where you left off after last night's 6-hour marathon. Unlike my contemporary creation, these 2 precious relics run on fittingly old-school wired connections, being physically linked to the router's Ethernet ports with a pair of Cat5 cables, and upon checking, were online, and able to load and browse all web pages with seemingly no issues. Almost inevitably, the eventual solution was far more simple than choosing a smartphone or changing an inner tube. Just reset the bloody system. Which evidently persuaded it to demand its dynamically allocated IP address a little more firmly, making this dysfunctional number look more like this.